So we are at the top of the hour here at 9 a.m. So I'd like to go ahead and kick off this meeting, kick off the new year. Thank you to everybody for logging in this morning and giving us an hour of your time. Thank you in advance to our panelists for taking the time out of your busy schedules to be on this call and share your insight. So welcome to the first HamCo division meeting of 2021. My name is Chris Sanders, and I am your 2021 division chair. I look forward to collaborating with each of you and our amazing HamCo board to bring exciting and engaging topics and speakers to our division meetings throughout the year. Although we are starting the year out virtually, when it is safe and appropriate to do so, I look forward to returning to the Palladium and seeing many of you in person yet again. Well, here we are again, January in Indiana, and I can't help to think that the more things change, the more things stay the same. In a lot of ways, it feels the same as the last 4 or 5 Januaries. Tom Brady playing for yet another Super Bowl, check. A light dusting of snow, but nothing that you can really do anything fun with, check. Low inventory in the housing market, check. However, with these common trends, we are entering a year shaping up to be unlike anything we've ever seen, yes, in our local real estate market, but also in our global world as well. Enough from me. I would first like to introduce our platinum sponsor for January, Doug Weir and TJ Pinkerton with Clearview Home Inspections. If you would like to unmute yourselves, and we've enjoyed watching all your videos throughout the month, and we look forward to hearing what you have to say this morning as well.
Well, thanks for having us, Chris and HamCo. And as you said, this is TJ. I'm Doug Weir. We hope you got to see the videos. They were a lot of fun putting together. And I'm going to let TJ do a little overview of that.
So basically, like you guys saw in the video, we were talking about new construction and that 3-phase, that getting that foundation, that pre-drywall, and that final inspection done. No, I don't usually fall off the second level. I don't usually ride on top of the van. It's all just a good time making the dummy, dressing them up like me. My wife might tell you a little different on whether or not he had better skills than me. But as we get into it, we like to have that client there with us during these inspections. It's not just for them to see the house, it's for them to learn about the house. Going around with us and seeing it happen in real time, they get that opportunity to see things that they wouldn't see because they don't do this every day. It is just like if I were to go to Chris's office, I'd be lost sitting in front of his computer. So he would have to walk me through that to get me to understand and see it in the big picture, to know what it is that he does and what it is that goes on in his office. So we just really like to have them there. It gives us a chance not only to build that rapport with the client, but also to build a lasting relationship with that client so that they can feel free to call us back later down the road if they just have clients, or if they just have questions on which kind of contractor they may need to talk to, or if they even think they have an issue. So that's why we really like them to be there.
We've been in business for 20 years. We're actually 21. We started this in 2000, and we're doing over 500 homes a year on just repeat customers and realtors. So we've been very fortunate to have that. Our realtors and clients appreciate our Clearview report with the numbered summary. So we have defects on that summary. It's easy to respond in the inspection response by the number instead of having to write it out. Keep in mind, it's Radon Awareness Month. We are giving away 5 free radons for the realtors that call in and want their name in the hat. We'll draw that out here at the end of the month, and actually a couple of days, and get you that possible free radon test.
With that report, a lot of that gets built by feedback from yourselves as realtors and also our clients. We're always streamlining our reporting process. We like to make sure that it's as easy to read, not just for a clear view of the house, but also because we like them to print that report, keep it with their mortgage paperwork. That's kind of a maintenance book to feed them for the next few years, to let them know what they need to do on their maintenance lap, just looking at caulking the basic stuff. But that feedback from you guys as realtors and the clients is how we get to that numbered summary and those color-coded options to make sure that everybody can see it on a quick reference. You don't have to read a full novel to find out that, hey, yeah, we had a loose outlet over there. It's just as quick as you can look at it. we're going to be trying to make another video this afternoon that we can release it tomorrow. We'll see. Depends on if our dummy falls down on the ice or not. We might get a little head injury. So that's about it for what we do. I know we enjoy seeing you guys. We've missed you guys face to face here recently. We prefer to be throwing our business cards out on tables instead of just putting banners up in the basement. So we appreciate you guys listening to us and watching our silly little videos.
Doug, TJ, thank you so much for joining us this morning. For those of you that don't know, Clearview Home Inspection has been a long time HamCo Platinum sponsor, and we're lucky to have them for another year here. So thank you guys.
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks.
All right. So I previously mentioned how similar this January feels to previous Januaries. However, I think it also has a completely different feel, a different buzz of excitement, uncertainty. So I'd like to introduce our 4 panelists that have taken the time to share their experience, their insights, their predictions, if that's possible in a year, like we're continuing to see here. If my math is correct, which can be questionable at times, our 4 panelists bring over 130 years of experience to our meeting this morning. Real industry experience, hands-on, work through their brokerages, work on a numerous amount of different boards. And so I'm just so excited. I know over the summer, we brought in a few of you. I know Jim Litten was on that call, and some of the predictions that were made and then came to fruition throughout the year, I watched it, and, a lot of them were very similar to what they said. So not putting any pressure on you but here we go. First on the panel, we have Jim Litten with FC Tucker. Jim started his career in 1972 with FC Tucker and has gone on to work his way up from sales associate all the way to becoming owner and CEO of the company. Along the way, he has served on many different boards and won numerous awards and accolades. But perhaps the noteworthy one that stood out to me was his service in the United States Army, where he served a tour of duty in Vietnam and earned the Army Accommodation Medal with 2 oak leaf clusters and a Bronze Star. Thank you, Jim, for your service to our industry and to our country.
Thank you, Chris.
And next we have Tracy Hutton with Century 21 Scheetz. Tracy brings over 20 years of real estate experience to the table and currently serves as the CEO of Century 21 Scheetz. It is her energy, positivity, and genuine excitement to help others that makes Tracy such a great leader in our industry. One of Tracy's favorite quotes is, "It is more blessed to give than to receive." This is evident by her involvement on many different boards throughout our industry, a list too long to go through right now. Thank you so much for joining us this morning, Tracy. And next, we have David Caveness with Carpenter Realtors. David started his real estate career in 1974 in the state of Iowa. In 1989, David relocated to Indianapolis to join Carpenter Realtors as a vice president and regional manager. Over the next 30 years, he worked tirelessly to grow Carpenter from 7 branches to 32 branches. He became Carpenter's president and CEO in 2013. With over 46 years of real estate experience, it is safe to say we are very lucky to have David here with us on the call today, even from Flagstaff, Arizona.
Yeah.
Thank you, David.
Pleasure.
And fourth, we have Jim Wilson representing RE/MAX Legends Group. Jim brings over 19 years of real estate experience to the table and currently serves as the broker owner of the RE/MAX Legends Group. Jim's dedication to our industry is unmatched and is evidenced by his team's involvement throughout MyBoard. With a long list of awards and accolades, the one that stood out to me the most is the honor of achieving RE/MAX's Lifetime Achievement Award. Thank you so much for joining us today, Jim, and for all your contributions to our industry.
Thank you.
And now I would like to introduce somebody that I'm sure you all already know, our lovely moderator and 2021 MyBoard President, Regina Jones. Regina, In addition to serving as the 2021 My Board President, she also serves as the branch manager of Carpenter's Northwest office. We're so happy to have you here and to moderate and interview our 4 panelists.
Good morning. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. I know everybody's been busy this week, so thanks for having me on. I do want to start and on my first question, and I'm gonna once I ask the question, we're gonna go ladies first. So that's right, ladies first. You guys just got to wait a minute, right? So Tracy, I'm going to ask you the first question. Do you see the 2021 housing market greatly reflecting the trends that we saw in 2020, since we are still feeling the strong effects from the pandemic?
Absolutely. I think what remains to be seen is what will happen to everyone in the marketplace as soon as everyone gets through the rounds of vaccines and everything. But I think, guys, it's going to be a continued kind market in many ways. When we look at other industries, I said last year was a kind market for all of us, right? I remember in March we were fastening our seatbelts, saying, "Holy cow, what's going to happen?" And preparing for the worst. So we were really blessed. But it creates additional challenges, as I know all of you feel every day when you're representing buyers and sellers in the marketplace and trying to keep up with the pace. But we're going to continue to see challenges with inventory. You can watch the trends, right? Every day when you look at new listings that hit the market and the number that are pending, we're not replenishing the supply to the pace that we even were last year. So we're going to see continue to see challenges on the inventory sides, and you'll see elevation in pricing, but also new construction. I mean, our new construction friends that have helped fill a lot of the gap, they're struggling with delivering the product to the heights of the demand. So same.
Thank you. Anybody else? Jim Litten?
I would totally agree with Tracy. I don't see anything on the horizon that causes me concern. I think these interest rates are going to stay low. I think you're going to see unemployment coming down as we move toward the summer, back in maybe the 5% range. And then I think with that occurring, it's going to raise consumer confidence. And those three factors, unemployment, consumer confidence, and interest rates, what drives the real estate business. So I don't see anything on the horizon that causes me concern.
Thank you, Jim. Jim Wilson, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I would say if you look back at last March and probably the panic a lot of us had and what's going to happen with real estate, I was hoping to break even at the end of March. And obviously we've sold more homes this year than we ever have. So I think we can get over any challenge that's out there. Probably the trend for our clients is the work from home trend. Historically, it's been about a 6% work from home. Last year, it popped up to almost 25% of workers were working at home. So that creates some challenges for us on, do they want to list their home? They want to, but they're on Zoom calls all day with their work. So they just can't leave. So there's some challenges that we have to get over and figure out how to make that work. It's trending that for next year, we'll be down to around 12%. This year, around 20%. So it'll ease with our sellers working from home. And we started off in a spot, not to start off too negative on the call. There's a lot of positive on today's call. But we started with less inventory this year than we did January of last year. So we're already starting in the hole that we got to figure out how to get some more inventory out there.
Right. Thank you, Jim. Dave, I know you have
building on what Jim just said, the inventory number is a real challenge, but we're still listing a lot of properties. I mean, if you just look at the stats, part of what's happening is you guys are selling everything we list. And so the inventory just can't seem to get any traction. But we've lived in that environment for 4.5 years now. And so we're getting pretty good at that, figuring out how to get these. We're still listing a lot of properties. The work at home trend, I think, sure, it's going to continue. It just accelerated all the people on this call, Zoom calls. I hadn't been on
4, and now I'm on 4 a day. And I actually, this is the scariest thing that happened in 2020. I know how to actually set up a Zoom call. And so that's like me being able to launch a man to the moon and bring him back. It's just almost brings me to tears to know that an old dog, in fact, can learn new tricks here. Okay, when
It
do you
brings
want us
us
to
to
tell you
tears,
what's going to
David,
happen?
too.
When do you want us to tell you what's going to happen? We know.
Well, I'll get to that in a minute. I want to tap into what we were just talking about, the low inventory. And Dave, I'll just keep talking to you or let you kind of continue, and then we'll go back around. Is there a time that you all see a prediction when the inventory could reach normal levels again? You know, are we going to get back to a little normalcy, a little balance with inventory?
The answer is no. And it's just math, and it's really exciting for everybody on this call, from the home inspectors, appraisers, mortgage lenders, anybody that has it, realtors, anybody that has anything to do with housing. It's not, in our lifetimes, it's not going to get back to normal. 2 reasons. Number one, builders can't build them fast enough. Tracy just said that. They can't get the land. They can't build them in a price range that begins the process, i.e. affordable housing. It isn't going to happen. The government will get into it in the next 3 or 4 years. They'll screw it up. They always do. God bless them. They are us. Be careful. The builders aren't going to catch us up. And then you got the millennials. I mean, it's just math. There is a tsunami, is the word, of home buyers. I mean, this group, the millennials, are hitting their prime home buying. They're just starting it, so we're seeing the first of it, and it's going to go the next 25 years, and it's going to drive this business, and we're going to have to run real hard just to keep up with them. Gee, that's a terrible problem to have if you're in the residential real estate business. So lucky all of us. Keep it a secret. We don't want to get too many people in the business. So let's keep it a secret, but we are, unless we screw this up, we're set.
Okay, Jim Litten, any thoughts on that, on getting back to normal with inventory?
I would disagree a little bit with David. I think this inventory thing is going to stay low for the next couple of years. But when the market slows down a bit and the rates go up, that's going to cause that inventory to pull up a little bit. As everybody knows, a balanced inventory is a 4 to 6 month supply. It doesn't favor the buyer or the seller. If you reflect back to 2010, we had a 10-month supply. And right now we have probably a 1.5 month supply. But I don't see it on the near term, the inventory changing. I would totally agree with what Tracy said about new construction. I think the other thing with new construction is that what we are seeing, even though it's picked up, the pricing of it is so high that it's not necessarily in the sweet spot in our market. And, you know, traditionally in Indianapolis, 80% of the homes that sell under $300,000. Well, there are not too many homes being built right now under 300 just because of infrastructure costs, lumber costs, and everything else. So I don't see the builders being able to bail us out of this inventory issue. You know, I think it's going to be challenging for agents. They've got to be on call 24/7. That when a new listing comes up, they've got to jump out there and show it, and then hope that they can negotiate to be the lucky person that gets to buy it. I mean, we're seeing, you know, multiple offers daily. And who would have ever thought that would have occurred in the January market?
Correct. Jim Wilson, any thoughts on a new normal as far as levels of inventory?
Sure.
Back to normal?
To build on Jim's comments there, you know, and since this is HamCo, I looked at Delaware Township. It was brought to my attention this week. If you do search all price ranges, Delaware Township, Fishers, there are 39 active homes and 34 are proposed new construction. So there are 5 homes in Delaware Township. If you go over to Fall Creek Township in Fishers, there are 56. 10 of them are over $1 million, with days on market average of 266. So you take those out, then there's about 18 to 20 new construction. A few of them are completed, but the rest are proposed. We're talking all of Fishers. There's 33 homes last night when I ran some numbers, and that's extremely low inventory. I'm guessing there's a few dogs out there that are going to sit out there that have been on there for a while, right? So we're going to have a challenge with that. David mentioned that Jim had mentioned he thinks maybe interest rates go to 5%. Historically, we've had around a 7 years, your home stays on the market 7 years and it's back in service. When 08 through 2010 happened, interest rates dropped to 3.5. So a lot of people locked in that low 3.5 rate. Rates went back up. That home doesn't enter the market again. It's kind of out of service. We just had a refi boom. So that person who was sitting at 3.5% interest rate who says, it's more expensive for me to move. Now they're locking in at 2.25 15-year rates. Does that house ever hit the market again? I'm kind of in that situation. My home will be out of service for around 20 years, that it won't hit the market. So I think it's a challenge with the interest rates. It's great. We have more equity in our home, which we'll probably get to, later in this conversation, which is a great thing to have the low interest rate. But in today, it's a challenge for us.
Okay, thank you, Jim. Tracy?
It's always fun to go last on these, right? Because everyone
That's
says
right.
all the points. I think is when we start seeing interest rates creep up is when we'll see a shift, in the demand a bit. We've got a couple of factors that are playing out over the next 9 years. Well, actually, really the next 7 to 8 years. It's expected that there is going to be 12 million new households, formed in the United States. And, Indiana is, guys, very attractive still, right? Good, strong leadership on the government side in terms of making Indiana a great place to build a business, move a business. So we've got to watch the economic development opportunities. So I think it's going to remain strong. We do have a challenge with affordability in terms of, have you guys, priced apartments lately? I've got kids that are young, right? College age, or just out of college. And I start looking at rental prices and holy cow.
Yes.
But that segment of buyers don't have the money to compete with all these cash offers and what's happening. So I think that's going to be an interesting thing to watch. But I think the next 2 to 3 years, it's, we're still going to be, supply is going to be definitely suppressed. Demand's going to be high. Just watch those interest rates.
Just watching the interest rates.
Yep.
Is there any, and I'll start with Jim Wilson on this one. Jim, do you have any advice for agents, things that they might want to prepare as we get through this pandemic? Once, we have our vaccines and the pandemic is really towards the end and it's subsiding and we're kind of getting back to our new normal. Any advice for new agents, how to prepare for that, how to prepare for once we kind of get out of this pandemic?
Sure. I kind of feel like we're in the normal. Sure, we had kind of a crazy summer last year, but most agents I talk to are kind of back to their normal. Things to think about is there's been talks about Biden having a $15,000 first-time home buyer credit. I wish it was a different program if that's the program that comes out, because it'll just create more competition, higher prices, and less inventory. So hopefully they can figure out something, someone smarter than me, to say, hey, let's do something with builders, development. Let's get that money in someone else's hands to make it affordable. So hopefully they change the program from what was kind of leaked out over the past couple of weeks. So if there are new programs out there, make sure you know what programs are out there. With current renters, they've probably hit the hardest on unemployment. So if you're going to start working with them, make sure you get their credit check, get with your lender, and make sure when it comes time they didn't miss a payment, and their credit's still in good shape. That way, when the house comes on the market, they're ready to go. So it's probably even more important for that person now to make sure that they are prepped and ready to go when they hit the market.
Thank you. Thanks. Tracy, thoughts on that?
I have a lot of thoughts on that. I'll tell you what, our agents, all of you aren't going to find transactions, your next customer or your next listing via the BLC. The agents that do very well in this tight market are those of you that have a hunter mentality and that have a matchmaker mentality, right? You look at your sphere, you look at your past clients, your friends, the majority of them, I guarantee you, are looking at making a move. But guess what? What do they hear? There's no inventory, prices are high. It's our job as realtors to be out there having the conversations and putting buyers and sellers together. And a lot of it, guys, is happening before it hits the market, right?
Oh, yeah.
So you've got to wake up every day saying, who am I going to talk to that's in my sphere, that trusts me, that's depended on me in the past, and put deals together, guys. You got to, got to wear out the shoe leather on your shoes, right?
Excellent. Dave, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, Regina, it's, and Tracy, you are, in this particular case, you are correct. It is relationships. An agent has got to be building those relationships in their sphere, working it like they've never worked it before. And they have to become the trusted advisor. And they've got to be talking to people before people say, hey, I think I want to buy a house. You've got to call them. You can't wait for them to call you. You've got to be ahead of the game, not in the game. You've got to be in front of it. And those people are going to prosper. And you see that, we saw that last year. There were agents that absolutely thrived in last year's environment, which is, I believe, is going to continue. And there were others on the same playing field that just couldn't get any traction. And it's those who are going after it, educating people before they even think about selling.
Excellent. Thank you. Jim Litten, any thoughts to round up?
I would totally agree with what Tracy and Dave said. I think in this day and age, constant communication with your sphere of influence, your past clients, everybody you know, and talk to them about what the interest rates are. Talk to them about the extra buying power that they have now. I think this is not the time to sit back and wait for people to call you. I think we need to tell our story.
Thank you, Jim.
Regina, I think the more we share with our spheres, that, like Tracy said, we are connecting buyers and sellers every day at a record level. So buyers are finding houses, and we're making that happen. Otherwise, they're going to believe there is no inventory and there's nothing for them to buy. We had a record year. That means we had a record number of buyers connected with properties. That's the message.
That's the message.
Great time to buy.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah.
Jim Litten, have a question. I'll start with you. Obviously, we've had a lot of changes. We're all on Hollywood Squares this morning, right? We're all looking at squares. We're all on our computer. What do you expect from all of this change that we've dealt with, working from home, being on Zoom calls? What do you think will stay as permanently in our industry with this change, some of these changes?
Regina, that's an excellent question. I think one of the things that this pandemic's brought about is in many ways more efficiencies in the way we all communicate. And I can see a lot of people, certainly we all want to get back together. We want to be together as a group. As salespeople, we all thrive on that. But I do think that these Zoom calls, in many cases, are going to serve us well and make us more efficient. I think of our managers meetings. Historically, we have a managers meeting once a month, and we would bring everybody into our agent support center. They would drive in from all over the state, and we would have a 2 or 3 hour meeting, and then the meeting would end. Well, think about the wasted time that people spend on the road. I still think it's going to be important that we get together, but I do think that some of these calls, a lot of our offices have their sales meetings via a Zoom call. And the attendance at the Zoom call is greater than what the attendance used to be when we had them in person. So I think you're going to see a lot of that stuff stick around. I do think that one of the things this pandemic has brought about is with people working at home, they're sitting around their home, and the husband and wife, they're both on their computers, the kids are on their computers, and they're looking at each other and saying, this home is too small. And I think that fueled our market. If you look at the number of expensive homes that sold this past year, I see that continuing. So I think that even though none of us liked being home, I absolutely was going crazy. I was like Dave. I was on Zoom calls from 8 in the morning until 8 at night. And quite honestly, I was more exhausted doing that than I was if I'd have been in the office. But I think we're going to still see some of that occurring. I mean, if you look at the pictures of all the people that are on the call today, I bet the great majority of you are at home.
Yeah, probably. Absolutely. Jim Wilson, any thoughts on that as well?
Yeah, I think our jobs can become easier in the next year or two as the remote worker says, I don't need to be 10 minutes from this location. They can go further out. So we're gonna have to learn different areas. Maybe is it Elwood? Because once 37 goes in and it looks like Keystone, is that a 15-minute drive from 116th Street? I think we're gonna be selling in different areas. It's gonna open up different areas for us to sell. If it's a two-person home, you don't have to be right in the middle of both people's work. I think it's gonna allow some flexibility on what we're searching for our clients. So I would be looking at what's the next area, and I'm sure that all the developers are already on that, but what's the next area that, it's okay if I'm 25 minutes from this location instead of 10, and expanding out. That will help with our affordability because it's going to be cheaper 15 minutes out from where we're currently at or building. So I think that's a positive for our industry. Last year, we had ticked up on for sale by owners. The percentage went from 7 to 11%, but it ended up being double the amount of for sale by owners. So one, were they at home and I can show my own house? Two, was it our agents knocking on doors saying, hey, do you want to sell your house? And I think it's probably a mix of both of those answers. And they had the social media in front of them to say, I want to sell my house. And everyone's sitting in front of their phones for the first 6 months of pandemic, looking at everyone's, feeds. So I think that kind of fueled why we had a few more for sale by owners last year than the previous years. Historically, in the 1980s, it was 15 to 18%. So it's still low, but I think that fuels some of that for sale by owner. So that could be a trend going into at least this next 12 months.
Absolutely. Tracy, what are your thoughts on the things that are permanently going to be staying with our industry after this?
I think, the efficiency of Zoom meetings will continue. I don't think it's going to be 100%, but I think a good majority will be. I mean, even think about, all of you that have served over the years, even on like my board committees, and there's something to be said about coming together. It is hard to, there's a lot of new people on this call, and that we don't get the opportunity to really meet and engage via Zoom like you do when you are together in a meeting or at a networking event. So I think people will be anxious to get back to those. There's something to be said too about the buzz of a sales floor. And when I say a sales floor, coming together, the things that you hear, the things that you learn through other people's experiences, we've missed that. The other thing I think is so funny, it's weird how many interactions now are via FaceTime or Zoom. What happened to the simple telephone call, right? It's so funny how many of my calls I pick up now and it's a FaceTime. That would have never happened pre-COVID. So I think that'll be an interesting dynamic.
Yeah, absolutely. Dave, let you round this question out.
Yeah, on this question, I think everybody's right. But one of the things that's happened is the transaction itself, the mechanics of the transaction management platforms, have all been streamlined. I'm Doug and Cindy in the home inspection business, the appraisers, the mortgage people. Everyone has found a more efficient way to process the transaction. And so if anybody's noticed, the timelines, we measure this, the timelines on the transactions have been compressed dramatically in the last 10 months. And I'm going to tell you, that's probably time warped our industry 2 or 3 years, forced the technology to get applied by some old dogs out there who are still, making copies. I mean, we've got people that want NCR paper in our company, and now they're on SkySlope or some other platform, and they're able to literally, sitting here this morning, get transactions physically put together, legally put together, and off to the title company, off to the mortgage company. The inspector is scheduled. Everything has been compressed. I was at a meeting, a leading real estate companies of the world meeting, I think now 4 years ago, Jim, and the gentleman on the stage predicted that the time from contracting to closing was going to be compressed to 14 days or less. 14 days or less from the time they write the contract to the time they take possession of the property, or at least legal possession of the property. And I thought, if you watch that timeline, it is shrinking dramatically, and the big move was this year.
Yeah, I know for me, I'll put a little personal plug in here that I know I was with my daughter and she had to attend something, but I was really in the middle of a transaction. But what I loved is I was able to use my iPhone, give my daughter the attention that she needed, use my iPhone, and really and finalize, get some signatures sent over, like everything from my phone. So yeah, it's just really kind of amazing how technology, when used correctly, can be very helpful. So I'm gonna end, and I know David asked earlier, for you all to give us your prediction. So Dave was ramped up on it. So Dave, I'm going to start with you. Give us your prediction, please.
Okay, now write this down, everybody, because I like to keep score and
pen and paper. I'm ready.
Okay, yeah, pen and paper is very effective. It's so cool. The BLC is going to hit another record, and I mean it's kind of scary when I become the optimist. It's kind of frightening. And so, Jim, you got to tamp this down a little bit. I think the BLC is going to be up another 3.5% in pended units, residential units I always talk about, up 3.5%. Average sales price is going to grow, but not quite as fast. And so we're looking at 4.5%. You put that together, and that's an 8.5% dollar increase for our industry next year. Inventory will remain low. That's not going to change going forward. I think that mortgage rates. Fed Chairman Powell indicated mortgage rates. When the Federal Reserve comes out and says publicly they're going to keep rates low for the next 2 years, Katie, bar the door, because they just don't do that. I mean, they give a little bit of information and they play their cards pretty close to the vest. They've come out and said next 2 years, interest rates are going to remain low. So I don't think we have to worry about that for 2 or 3. Inflation is coming. Jim was right. Inflation is coming. It may be a horrible recession or something out there a few years from now, but nothing in the next 2 or 3. New construction will not catch up. I just can't see it. If the government comes out with a program, heaven help us all, it'll be a cluster. First-time buyers, millennials, wow! I just get goosebumps. It's what a great time. Sometimes, even a blind hog finds that acorn. There's several blind hogs on the screen here. Cindy, we're going to find them. Your marketing is going to generate a record year for Housemaster this year, even if it's terrible marketing. No, I'm saying you're going to be a winner even if you're a loser in this market. All you got to do is is get out there and bang a pot with a wooden spoon. Average sales price up 4.5%. BLC is going to hit about 93.5 in net pendings. It'll be another record. I just think it's I just want to say, what a great time to be in the real estate business. Get the vaccine, get that second one, and get out there and work your sphere, and you will have your best year ever, period. So excited.
Thank you, Dave. Tracy, your thoughts?
You know, I think we all know that the market's going to continue to be robust, but I think we all need to focus on, during this type of market, what is the consumer experience when they work with us? And we better be focused on how we're elevating that experience, and how we show up matters today, but it really matters in 2 years, in 5 years, in 7 years, when people are reflecting about the experience they had with you when they used you as their realtor. And we're moving fast. And the cadence in which you communicate with one another, we know how we work as realtors, but the cadence that we're communicating with buyers and sellers in a transaction leaves them like bewildered, guys. I mean, I'm seeing agents firing off text messages because they're just trying to get stuff done, right? And the consumer is like, wait, I can't keep up with you guys. I can't process it like you're processing it. Remember, they don't go through the transactions like we do, every year. It's probably one every couple of years or every 5 years. So be really careful and be thoughtful on how you show up in the eyes of the buyer and the seller, and honestly, the agent that's across the table from you. So I think that's got to be the focus in this year and in the future years. It'll highly impact our success.
Thank you, Tracy. Jim Wilson, thoughts?
Yeah, so as we entered that last summer, and we had a new form that said we might be delayed up to 30 days. And a lot of us signed that addendum, right? We were all trying to cooperate and make things work. And then all of a sudden, November, December, a lot of phone calls with managing brokers, the butting of heads. Let's get back to that cooperation. We're low on inventory. We all know it. We're all frustrated, right? Get back to that cooperation. Just be nice to everyone. It will go a long way. Those agents that have a lot of listings will always have a lot of listings. You better be nice to them, right? You want your offer to go on top to say, Susie was a great agent to work with. It's the same offer. Let's go with Susie. That is playing out, right? If they're all the same offers, you have to be the shining spot in that transaction. So my suggestion is smile, have a good time. We all made a bunch of money last year. Let's do it again. And let's all cooperate.
Thank you, Jim. And Jim Litten, would you like to round this topic up?
Sure, Regina. Reflecting back on what Dave said on Dave's forecast, I would totally agree with him, except on the factor on the average sale price going up. I think the average sale price is probably going to go up 8 to 10%. And the reason that I say that is that with these bidding wars going on in homes, people are ending up paying over list price right now. And I think people are going to be more bullish on the pricing of their homes. That begs the question, is that going to bring a housing bubble? I don't see that occurring in Indiana. Central Indiana is still one of the most, in the top 1/3 of affordability markets in the country. I think one of the things you're going to see, and the Kelley School of Business has even predicted this, you're going to see an inflow of population coming into Indiana. And the reason being, with people being able to work remote, you're going to see people moving from Chicago to Indiana. I've even heard anecdotal stories about a new subdivision that's being built in Zionsville. It's a very upscale community that a lot of the people buying are from Chicago, and they're relocating out of Chicago. They're going to work remotely in Zionsville, and when they have a meeting, they're going to drive back to Chicago. So I think we're in real interesting times. The population growth is occurring in Indiana. I just think we're in for some good times. And I would agree with what Jim said. When people are under a lot of pressure, they tend to get a bit testy. This is not the time for that. We've got to work together. We've got to stick together. We're all in this together. So I think we're in for a great year.
Thank you, Jim. Absolutely. And I'll just wrap it up just with a couple of thoughts as well. I think everything that you all, first, thank you for your time and really for all of your knowledge and answering the questions that we brought about today. So thank you for that. And I do think that you all hit the nail on the head with everything that you were saying here with this last question, because really the cooperation between realtors and the professionalism and the courtesy and the respect that we give to each other really is going to be so helpful, not just to us in the transaction, but also to our clients, right? And being what Dave and Tracy, some of the comments that they had made, being relational, right? We're doing a transaction or having a transaction, but you don't want to treat a client as a transaction, right? You have a relationship with them. And so I would encourage everybody to really tap into the relational part of that and build your business that way. And so with that being said, again, thank you all for answering my questions and being good sports. Thank you, Dave, Tracy, Jim, and Jim. And I'm going to turn it back to the HamCo chair. Yes, ma'am.
One thing, you know, last year was unbelievable in real estate, and Gabby and the foundation do a fabulous job of, you know, raising money for those that aren't in need, or those that are in need. And if anything, I think the donations to the foundation should double down this year. There is a segment that we don't see, right? Sometimes in our bubbles that we're in, we don't see those that are falling through the cracks. So I'm just going to challenge everyone to make sure that they keep the Realtor Foundation in mind this next year when you're cashing those big commission checks, because there are those that are less fortunate. And thanks for the foundation and the board for all their
and don't forget Bob Kilmer and the Hamilton County Food Banks. We've got it in our backyard, folks.
Absolutely.
For Hamilton County, we got to get everybody send Bob $100 bill, and most of it gets to the food bank. Bob's got to make a living too, so but get everybody send Bob $100 bill.
Yes, thank you. Absolutely. Realtor Foundation, those 400 meals, I will tell you, that ball, not having a traditional ball, you know, it was a little, you know, disheartening earlier in the year when we were talking about that last year, about, you know, being virtual as incoming president. But I will tell you the best part of this past weekend was delivering those 400 meals. Absolutely. It was just wonderful. And my dad, looking down from heaven, those are the things that always made him so proud of me when anytime giving back to the community. So I really felt my mom and dad this weekend, and I appreciate, and I know Gabby does, everything that you all do for the foundation, and just keep up the good work for sure.
A huge thank you to everybody, Regina, Jim, Tracy, and Dave. That was fantastic. You know, a lot of the topics that you guys hit on were things that we all have in the back of our mind. And I really like the thoughts at the end of working together, you know, the Realtor Foundation and RPAC. I don't know about the rest of you, but about the middle of March last year, I started getting very concerned. Are they going to shut down title companies, mortgage companies, the real estate in general? And, you know, a lot of government stuff happens on the local level, and looking to our neighbors to the north, real estate was shut down for a period of time last year. You know, Zach Miller would be much more in tune with the exact details of maybe what happened here locally behind the scenes, but we never shut down. We were all able to operate and move forward. And, you know, had that been different, all of our lives would be a little bit different. So thank you for everybody's efforts, comments. You know, this has been a great uplifting meeting this morning. And now we still have 4 more exciting speakers to bring into our meeting here. And Gabby Benson, do you want to go first?
Sure. Good morning, everybody. What a great program. Thank you, Tracy, for that wonderful endorsement of the foundation and our work. And I just want to echo what you said, that I urge all of you to think about your consumer who may not have had their best year ever, and your clients who may be struggling, and those in our community who are just trying to make ends meet for their families. And so if you want to learn more about the Realtor Foundation, I am here. Reach out. I'm happy to jump in on a Zoom meeting with your team, or come up to your office to give an update about how you can get involved. I want to thank all of you for supporting the ball. We raised over $65,000 for the foundation, completely virtually. It was just amazing. If you missed the program, we will share a full link to the whole show that you can watch online. And of course, you can always continue to contribute. So thank you, HamCo.
Thank you, Gabby and the Realtor Foundation. And then Andrew Huber, do we have any announcements coming out of MIBOR?
I always come prepared, Chris. You know that. You know that. I come prepared.
I hated to even ask, but take it away.
It's like a rhetorical question at this point. Guys, I just want to say what a strong way to wrap up the month of January with HamCo in this great panel today. So I'm really pumped up. I'm excited to finish strong and then start February even stronger. With that being said, I'm Andrew Huber, and these are the headlines coming out of MIBOR. As COVID-19, blah, 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 you guys know, MIBOR is, and I'm doing air quotes if you're not looking at me, MIBOR is closed until February 2nd. All that means is if you got in your car, you drive to 1912 North Meridian, the front door is locked. That's it. So expect nothing less out of me. Expect nothing less out of Lacey Everett. Expect nothing less out of Shelly Specchio. We're all just remote, but expect nothing less out of MIBOR services to our membership, because don't forget, we work for you. Some things. Go to mybor.com/realtor store. You can still order lock boxes. We do curbside pickup. We'll mail it to you. We're still doing live hands-on BLC classes. MIBOR is still full service. It's just we're air quotes here. We're closed until February 2nd. And then even then, we're going to be doing everything we can to keep crowds at a minimum. But still, like I said, expect nothing less out of us. It is late January, so I'm going to be a little ahead of the time and say that February is, let's be honest, it's here, which means that it's time for the big game, the unofficial kickoff of the spring real estate market. Showing times, live webinars, save time and generate more showings. A showing time for the MLS overview is just for MIBOR members. Discover how you can use their complimentary services to save time, generate more showings, and help you sell your listings more efficiently. You will learn how to use the schedule a showing link to request showings on other agents' listings. Add showing instructions to determine the best settings for each of your listings. Set your notification preferences. Create a buyer's tour with ease and simplicity with the showing cart, and download and use the Showing Time mobile app to request, that's Dexter, you guys know. Mobile app to request and confirm appointments while on the go. So, Showing Time, become an expert in that. We have classes coming Tuesday, February 9th from 10 to 10:30. Wednesday, February 10th from 1 to 1:30. Thursday, February 11th from 2 to 2:30. You're interested in that, just email or message me in the chat right now. I will get that taken care of. MIBOR has recently transitioned to a new member database software called GrowZone. This transition is mainly internal, but please try to be a little more patient with staff as we adapt. Just to put context for you guys, we have a member database, and we've had the same member database since the internet happened. So we were long overdue for an upgrade, and now we're going through that. So there's going to be some growing pains and a learning curve, but we're going to get there, and it'll be a better thing for all of us. Kickstart 2021 by making a commitment to learning more and dedicating time to be an even better professional realtor. Join the growing list of members who have already completed the MIBOR Master Professional Certification Program, or MPRO. Our next MPRO bootcamp will take place virtually, February 22nd through the 26th. Some of the activities you're doing right now, like sitting in on a division meeting or attending a tech training. Count towards your certification. Challenge yourself to the highest designation of professionalism offered by your association. Boy, that Regina Jones really did a great job moderating, didn't she? Round of applause for Regina. And also, for the hundreds that tuned into the ball, if you heard what Regina had to say, it's awesome. It's basically what we're doing right now, participating, collaborating, getting together as colleagues to strengthen our industry. And if you'd like to hear even more from Regina, she's our guest in this month's podcast of Leave Your Shoes by the Door. Yes, your association has a podcast and it's called Leave Your Shoes by the Door, where every month I interview a realtor, a living, working realtor, a peer of yours in your industry that's doing this career to put food on the table and a roof over their head. And this month is Regina Jones. So go to myboard.com/podcast to check out that episode with our president, Regina Jones. New episodes each month. My board's continuing. I'm not going to read this. This is a call to action to all individuals in this room, all citizens of Hamilton County. My board, one of our goals is to strengthen our communities. We want to make Central Indiana a more desirable place to live. So this call to action is for you. If you're driving around Hamilton County and you see something in your community that could use a fresh coat of paint, or that would be a lot better if they would plant new flowers over there, something that would raise the quality of life, that would enhance the community, let my board know. We are taking a new initiative in 2021 to provide beautification projects and ways to strengthen our community. Go to myboard.com/gov and community relations. And of course, more information is going to be released on that as 2021 continues. I'm going to pass it off to your peer and volunteer RPAC trustee, Evan Elliott, to talk about RPAC. Evan, are you with us?
I am with you. Thank you so much, Andrew. Well, good morning, everybody. My name is Evan Elliott, and I am the newly elected vice chair for MyBoard RPAC, and Zach Miller is our chair this year. So you have two people very involved in Hamilton County leading the RPAC organization this year. We are so excited about everything that's coming down the pike. This year for us is not an election year. So that means that we're going to be focusing a lot on education and educating all of you about RPAC and what we do. One of the biggest things that I think that we've heard today is that our industry is continuing to need protection. And one of the ways that we do that is by having a seat at the table. And one of the ways that you get a seat at the table is by donating to the candidates who are victorious, who are at the table. And so you will find that politically, you might not always agree with RPAC's decisions as far as the candidate or what they represent aside from real estate. But our goal is to pick those who are going to be at the table and represent our best interests in the real estate industry. This year, we have a very large goal, and that is to raise over $100,000. If 100 realtors gave $1,000, which is a major investor contribution, we would be done, and we wouldn't have to ask for your investment any longer. But we want you to know that this is a true investment in your business. The reason that we were considered essential is because we had a seat at the table. We knew all the players. We had the best lobbyists. And that doesn't just happen overnight. It's a lot of energy and a lot of money. So I would invite you, if you've donated to, excuse me, if you've donated to RPAC in the past, we invite you to invest again this year and help us continue to protect our industry, because as you're seeing, things are only going to become more difficult here in the next few years. And we want to protect our commission. We want to protect our role in the industry, and we want to protect ourselves. We want to make sure that we're at the front lines, being considered essential year after year. So thank you so much. If you have any questions about RPAC, I'll put my email here in the chat, and never hesitate to reach out to me about a candidate or a question. We interview approximately 80 to 150 candidates every year for public office. And we can all tell you there are some really good interviews, and there are some that are not so great. That would probably surprise you. So thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you so much, Evan, for joining us on the call and providing that information. Thank you, Andrew Huber. Thank you, Gabby Benson. And our former HamCo chair of 2020, Zach Miller, is now our District 6 representative. And Zach, do you have anything to share this morning?
You bet. Hey, Chris, thank you so much. And Andrew, I'm telling you, getting you at 9 o'clock in the morning and your energy is just, yeah, I mean, I'm telling you, I'm ready to go. It's great. So always thank you for bringing that energy, Andrew. You know, and before I get into my points here, Jim Wilson brought up a great point. Jim Litten, you kind of backed him up on this, and Regina as well. But, you know, we are all under a lot of stress and pressure right now with our clients, and, you know, writing 6, 8, 10 offers, and they still lose out on that offer. And we feel that we write the best offer and, you know, make these terms clean and give appraisal guarantees and all these different things that we're seeing right now on creative offers. Guys, be gracious with one another. Remember that we are just as under as much stress as our clients, and it is easy to get upset right now. We need to be professional. We need to build those relationships and keep those relationships with one another. And also help kind of diffuse situations when they do get maybe the stress takes to the peak. So just remember, be gracious and professional with one another during this time. It's going to make things a lot easier with that. So just a couple of things from the board of directors. First, again, congratulations to our new president, Regina Jones. Regina, one, thank you for moderating HamCo today. You did wonderful. Two, if you were at the ball, and if you were not at the ball this year, please watch the recording when it's available. Regina's speech, she knocked it out of the park. I mean, I want to watch it again, Regina. Awesome, awesome job. We're going to have a great year.
Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome. This coming down from the National Association of Realtors, beginning this past Friday on January 22nd, NAR is in the process of changing their member engagement system. Something that you might know that is called NERDS, or NRDS, is now becoming something called Members First, or M1. So beginning this past Friday, the National Association of Realtors was in the process of reaching out to all 1.4 million members across the country to verify your email address. They were doing this in batches of 100,000 members per day, beginning this past Friday, which was the 22nd. So if you do the quick math, 100,000 per day, 1.4 million members, it's going to take approximately 2 weeks for them to reach out to everyone. Reason I am letting you know about this is because you will be getting an email from the National Association of Realtors from verifyemail@nar.realtor. This is not spam. This is the National Association verifying the current email that is in their database to contact you. Please, please, please take the 10 seconds it is to click verify and return that to NAR so that when they are in the process of integrating the NERD system over to the new M1 system, they know you are there. And then this is just a reminder. I know that we are all the ultimate procrastinators when it comes to this, but you have 5 months and 2 days to complete your CE. And also just a reminder that most of us have the Code of Ethics requirement due this year, that the National Association has that requirement for us. So make sure that if you have not completed it and have not completed your CE yet, that one of the courses that you take will fulfill your Code of Ethics requirement from NAR. Other than that, that's it for me, HamCo. It's great to see you. Happy New Year, and looking forward to an exciting year.
Awesome. Zach Miller, thank you so much for all that information. And thank you everybody for joining this meeting this morning. I think, you know, I agree. It's not just Andrew Huber, but our 4 panelists as well, and Regina, that really gets me pumped up and ready to go for another really successful year. And the key is us working together and moving forward together as our world continued to change every single day. just a little bit of business on HamCo. The goal is to get back to in-person meetings, starting out with the hybrid where, 20 to 25 people in the meeting room, everybody else on a Zoom call. Our venue, the Palladium, has been a fantastic partner over the last year, and we're working with them too as the COVID situation updates and we get new information. So February, it's undetermined whether there's going to be any in-person or if it's going to be Zoom. Plan on Zoom for now. And then hopefully as we get into March and April, then we can resume the hybrid meetings. And, eventually it likely won't be this year, but, next year, hopefully we can get back to our normal, completely in-person meetings. So feel free to reach out, contact me with any questions, comments, concerns, ideas for this year moving forward. And I really look forward to serving as your chair for the next year. So thank you again, everybody, and let's all go have a productive day.